All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the latest installment of the CIP press conference. We've done this on an annual basis, and I know this is something that everybody looks eagerly forward to. We want to know what we're spending money on. I mentioned this right up front because we have this city, for the first time in its history, has regularized the process of taking care of its stuff. You know, for a long time, it was easy for the city just to turn a blind eye to collapsing roofs and failing HVAC systems and crumbling roads and vehicles that were falling apart, especially in snowstorms. And what we've committed to, through the leadership of Ari Skye, our CFO, is to care for those things that taxpayers have purchased, whether they are vehicles, whether they are buildings, whether they are roads. The city owns a lot of stuff, some over 300 miles of road, some 96 buildings, hundreds of vehicles, and many other assets that we need to care for consistently, reliably over time, because when things fall apart, it becomes a lot more expensive to repair them. So, and letting them fall apart is not an option. We can't just say, well, in the middle of a snowstorm, so it's a shame that a plow truck just fell apart and we'll just wait for the snow to melt. We can't say, well, the police department's roof is caving in, and we'll get to that when we get to that. These are not options. Responsible municipal governments take care of that which they own, and so I have there's a long list of stuff here, and I'll leave it to Ari to go through some of it. But if there's one takeaway from these press announcements, it's that we at the local level are doing exactly what people want us to do, and that is to get the job done. And what we have here assembled are many of our department heads who are intimately involved in taking care of our things. So you'll hear in a moment from Ken Blanchard, who is the Director of Facilities and Fleet Management. Deb Lee is the head of the Council on Aging. Mary Raposa is the head of Parks and Recreation. Keith Lovett couldn't be here from the zoo today, but he's represented by Shara Crook-Martin and Paul Montgomery. Barry Rabinowitz and Andrew O'Leary representing the school department. Manny Silva's here representing DPI, as well as Richie Correa, and Chief Mike Gomes, Fire Chief Mike Gomes is over there at the counter, ready to serve anybody who's thirsty. But we see all this because I go through the list because our department heads do a terrific job in stewarding these projects. The city has a large capital plan, and we've been successful now in chipping away at it. So as you walked into this complex, I just want to use this as an example. This used to be the New Bedford Vocational School before. It was regionalized in the 70s and moved up to the north end. This was New Bedford Voc. And it has become over the years the annex to the City Hall. These are good buildings that house many city and school department functions, and they need to be kept up. We're in a room right now that, just as by way of illustration, has improved greatly as a result of the CIP in previous years. So these windows are state-of-the-art, energy-efficient windows that replaced windows that were drafty and leaky and helping and accelerating the deterioration of the building. The space is greatly improved. And as you walked in here, you walked through some space that needed more improvement, and that's coming next. I say all this because these improvements are real, they're tangible, and we do them, again, not just out of obligation to taxpayers as we must, but also because there's visible signs of progress. There's a lot going on in New Bedford right now. There's an awful lot going on, both in terms of public projects and private projects. New Bedford really is standing up again. It has its act together, and it is making lots of progress. And I want everybody to know just how hard our department heads are working. I missed John Lobo from Community Services. I was looking for Cynthia. John Lobo from Community Services as well on behalf of that department. They're working very hard to get things done. So this year's CIP, and I'll have Ari come up, and then I'll ask City Councilor Jim Oliveira to come up and say a few words as well. This year's CIP includes $5 million almost $5 million in new projects. These are all part of a 5-year plan. This year's particular set of projects include road rehab projects, which is for really the first for New Bedford that we've committed borrowing to road repairs in the city. We had a press announcement on that about a week or so ago, but it bears repeating that we're in a position now that we can really start to turn to roads and attend to them as we must. It includes work on this complex, about $500,000 worth of work on the Hillman Street complex, as we now call it. Projects at the zoo, projects in 2 of our fire stations, continued progress on the South End Public Safety Center, that is for which we just hired an architect. That'll be the first fire station built in the city in some 60 years. So I mention all these as by way of example, and I'm going to have Ari go into a little more detail, but you know, so much of this has been facilitated by Ari's careful planning, being able to project the city's needs and its ability to pay for it is instrumental in our ability to take care of our stuff. Having someone the likes of Mark Champagne, who's in the corner, who handles our facilities in city government and attends to all the detail in between is absolutely instrumental. And Mark knows every department head here. They all know him. If they own a building, if they own stuff, Mark is part of it, and he does such a fantastic job at his work. I'm going to, again, have Ari go through some more of the detail, but again, this these kinds of things, announcing the replacement of windows or HVAC systems or roofs, don't make for headline news all the time. I grant you that, but we have these press conferences here because we want the public to be confident that we are discharging our responsibility to the things they paid for, and the signs of it are visible all over the city. So with all that, let me call up our CFO, Ari Skye, who's been instrumental in making this happen. Ari.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank both the Mayor and City Councilors for the work with this. As I've said, pretty much every year that we've done this, I'm just the vessel, and the actual direction and the actual drive and the authority to do this all comes from them and their vision for a city that actually is able to maintain itself and is sustainable. The CIP is really one component of a 3-pronged approach that the city's taken to address its capital needs. There's the local funding, which is provided mostly through debt financing with some cash proceeds from legal settlements and grants included as well. That's the CIP. In addition, there's several projects in the CIP that are augmented by state money. We're estimating about $20 million in grants provided to the state through the Massachusetts School Building Authority that allows a lot of the school projects to go forward. And also the city has embarked on an energy conservation program. We partnered with Siemens Industries. Those of you who've been covering us for a while are familiar with the streetlight project and the first phase of the ESCO project. So that first phase included building and lighting improvements in 18 city buildings, which were financed by guaranteed energy savings. And then phase 2 is currently in the planning stages, and that'll be moving forward in the next several months. Combined, altogether, these initiatives are allowing the city to address, at least in part, its very large inventory of deferred maintenance and capital projects. We're now heading into the 4th year of the CIP, and there is some evidence out in front of everybody which allows us to see how we're beginning to make progress. For example, construction's underway for the South End Elementary School to replace the old Hannigan Elementary School, and construction is complete on the Taylor Elementary School. Repairs have been initiated to fire and police stations, including the installation of backup generators, interior renovations, as well as long-needed roof replacements. Not the sexiest thing in the world, but incredibly important, and so it makes these facilities sustainable over time. Upgrades to the city's public safety and general use fleets have continued. Ambulances are now on a regular replacement schedule, which allows us to have ambulances out there and working. We have 2 ladder trucks on order, and replacement of the general use and snow fighting fleet is underway. Long-needed renovations to the zoo provided an expanded habitat for Ruth and Emily, and additional enhancements are underway to improve the physical conditions and the visitor experience. And then, of course, renovations to City Hall, the Art Museum, Wilkes Branch Library, and the Zeitarian all ensure that the city's precious assets are properly maintained and protected after decades of deferred maintenance. This year's CIP builds upon that momentum by continuing to address the city's core facility and major equipment needs. The schedule goes through 2021. Some examples, top priorities, facility renovation projects at fire and police stations, libraries, and recreational facilities. Continued funding for the zoo, for replacement of police, fire, EMS, and general fleet vehicles. Renovations to city schools through the MSBA's Accelerated Repair Program. Continued repairs to the Hillman Complex, which are aimed at making the facilities suitable for future consolidation of city services in the future. And then finally, for the first time, the mayor touched on this, the capital program includes ongoing funding for the restoration of roads and infrastructure. This program is intended to supplement state Chapter 90 money, as well as utility-funded improvements, which would be restorations to roads connected with sewer replacement projects and water projects. Projects selected for priority will be determined based on conditions as assessed through the city's pavement management system, which is a system that DPI maintains that scientifically and accurately measures the condition of the roads and places the ones that need it worst at the top of the queue. The CIP includes a loan authorization for this year to finance this year's planned allocation. The total is $4,483,000. The entire program is designed to ensure the highest priority projects receive funding in a manner that's consistent with the city's ability to pay. As a result, the program maintains overall debt well below the limits set by the city's debt policy, which was adopted by the City Council in 2013. It's the development of a deliberate, long-range capital improvement program that has allowed the city to embark on this path. The CIP, along with financial policies that have been adopted by the City Council, is instrumental in maintaining our excellent bond rating. And it has been the partnership between the mayor and the City Council, really, that's allowed the capital program to become a reality and to be sustained. The CIP is also the result of a strong interdepartmental partnership or effort among the different departments, many of whom are here today, along with countless others, including the city's financial departments, who we're the ones who are the enablers who allow to get things going forward. That's pretty much what I have to say. Thank you for your interest. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer them afterwards.
Great, thank you, Art. There has indeed been a very solid working partnership across city government, but also between the administration and the City Council. And I can't emphasize it enough. This has been, the planning process here has been thorough, but it also has been collaborative. The input from the City Council has been a big part of the decisions around priorities, which buildings and which road and so forth, but also, it's the loan orders are issued by the City Council, and I can't thank the City Council enough for its appreciation of the problem, but also the solution as well. And the City Council has been behind it all the way. I want to thank City Council President Joe Lopes, who couldn't be here today, for his support, and I also want to thank Jim Oliveira, Ward 1 councilor, for his insight into both the capital needs, the physical capital needs of the city, but also how those the solutions to those capital needs can accelerate economic development and make neighborhoods more lively. And I just asked Jim to come on up and say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And on behalf of the City Council of New Bedford, we thank you for submitting this CIP loan order. As you know, this will probably go to Finance Committee, where we will look at it carefully, as we have in the past, and conduct our due diligence as expected by the community and our constituents throughout the city. This has been a very good process, though, however. We've worked with all of our partners, most of the people that are in the room today from the different department heads. We've taken the time to understand what their needs are, what they're trying to accomplish. A number of the councilors in our committees have learned many things about the needs of the community of New Bedford, whether it be through the Council on Aging, through the issues that are associated with with city infrastructure or with our parks and recreation. Across the city, there are needs that need to be fulfilled, and the only way that this can be done is in a systematic approach through a capital improvement program. I look forward to spending some time with the CFO in the upcoming month, and want to make it known also that we're partners in management of the city of New Bedford. We have considered ourselves that for some time now, and the acceptance of the administration for that purpose has made things work a lot more smoothly, and we anticipate that should continue. We should continue that relationship in the future. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Jim. All right, last, I want to talk, I'd like to call up Kenny Blanchard, who has a multifaceted job in overseeing the well-being and functioning of our city's buildings and our city's fleet, of which we have several hundred vehicles. And things are operating far more better now that Kenny has been in charge now for going on 3 years now. It's been 3 years. Time flies, Ken. But I really have appreciated Ken's leadership in getting things done, and just wanted to especially thank him for his work on the CIP. It's been instrumental. Ken?
Thank you. So I just want to give a perspective from a maintenance standpoint on this. Every year, for the last few years now, the Department of Facilities and Fleet looks forward to late January, early February, because we know that's when the new CAP is going to be introduced. And that gives us an opportunity to take care of the buildings the way they should be taken care of. You know, this morning, as a matter of fact, this is a great day to have this press conference. This morning, Mark and I were talking about where we were going to send the bucket brigade today, the buildings with the leaky roofs. Hopefully next year at this time, there'll be less opportunity to send the bucket brigade out. We've put roofs on buildings recently. The Police Station 1, which has allowed us to do some interior renovations once we had the roof complete. It also allowed us to install an emergency generator on the roof. The Zeiterion Theater was badly in need of a roof, which protects the interior of that building. Any of you that have been in the building, you've seen all of the ornate plaster work on the ceiling. And also we've put a roof recently on the Art Museum. So those three buildings alone, very important buildings to the city of New Bedford, valuable assets to the taxpayers. We look forward to this new round. We got a lot of work left to do. Fire Station 2, we're going to be putting a roof on the over the communications department at Fire Station 2, which, by the way, we got a call this morning is leaking. So the bucket brigade added that to their call. The Quest building, another very important building, an incubator building for the city of New Bedford, houses an awful lot of fledgling businesses. A roof will be going on that building, a new fueling station at the city yard to take care of city vehicles. So again, the Department of Facilities and Fleet absolutely looks forward to these days every year when the new CIP is introduced to allow us to get to work. So I want to thank the mayor, I want to thank the city council, and I want to thank Ari for all the hard work they put in to make this happen, to keep our people going. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. All right, let me open it up to questions if you guys have any. We answered everything. Perfect. Perfect. I just want to say nice job to everybody who's been involved in this. I mean, we've got to go through the city council, but at this point, most of the councilors are pretty well aware of what's in there, and you know, given. And I look forward to that discussion. I think we've had a good dialogue in years past about this, and I think it's going to go well again this year. So, in any event, thanks everybody, and I look forward to the day when you don't have to wear a raincoat in any building in the city of New Bedford. Thanks.